Have you ever wondered if it is possible for John Marston to hunt a wild alligator and then get the carcass to Beecher's Hope to present to Abigail before it spoils? Yeah, probably not. Why is this even a question that needs to be answered? Well, it's been on my mind and I just need to know. See, if you watched my cowboy golf video, you may remember this sick clip of an alligator doing a Tony Hawk grind during the feats of strength and agility montage. But if you haven't watched that video, don't worry, it is not required viewing for this in any way. But the idea I had while recording that clip was to get footage of delivering an alligator to Abigail by dragging one halfway across the map, far away from where they naturally spawn. I got the gator drag started and just switched to cinematic mode and let the autopilot take the gator to Beecher's Hope. But before I could get the gator to Abigail, tragedy struck. The gator corpse just up and despawned. But I had that gator rail grind randomly happen and figured since that was far more absurd and funnier, I just rolled with it to keep forward progress on working on that video. But in the weeks since then, wondering if I could get a naturally spawned gator to Abigail at Beecher's Hope has been keeping me up at night. So that's what we're gonna do here today. Just horse around and see if we can deliver alligators to Abigail, but also make a feat of strength out of it. So only a few things you really need to know about alligators in Red Dead for this challenge. Alligators only spawn over here on the easternmost side of the map, and the gators will need to be delivered to Abigail way over here at Beecher's Hope. And gators come in two flavors: adult gators and baby gators. The major difference being that I can just pick up and carry dead baby gators, but cannot pick up the massive adult gators. We're going to play with both sizes to maximize the amount of fun. So let's warm up with some baby gator antics. Now, some basic in-the-box thinking immediately provides an answer to this riddle. You just pop a baby gator, slap it on your horse's rump, set up camp, then invoke the horse magic spell of fast travel, and voila! A gator for Abigail.
Are you gonna butcher that?
Let's just put this on her bed so she can use it like a squishmallow. Huh? Well, that's rude, game. Oh, yeah. Well, but do you think that crutching on horse magic to perform such a feat of masculinity would impress a woman of Abigail's quality? I didn't think so. So we need to try harder. Sure, I could just put the gator on the horse's ass and ride it halfway across the map myself, but what's the fun in that? That's right, there is no fun in that. So let's see if John can get the gator to Abigail without the use of any stupid horse. The first thing to try is just getting a gator and start walking. A nice horseless stroll across the countryside. Well, as nice as it can be given that it keeps raining, but I walked all through the night, saw the lights of Blackwater off in the distance indicating that I still had a long ways to go. Some fellow travelers seemed to take my gator as a threat and tried to start shit with me, but I just ignored them, focused on the mission of moving this gator, and they all eventually backed down without incident. And when both the rain and day broke, I got to take in a nice rainbow. Things were pleasant and looking good, but then tragedy struck. After walking with the gator for about 20 minutes, it rotted on John's shoulder and he could no longer carry it. Maybe I could kick it the rest of the way, I thought. But no, Abigail deserves a fresh gator carcass. At a slow and steady pace, I only managed to walk the gator about half the way to Beecher's Hope. So now that I know there is a time limit, I'll have to try again and pick up the pace. And since I'll need to burn stamina on the next attempt by jogging, I crafted a few performance-enhancing drugs and got to work looking for a new baby gator. A task that took me a while, to be honest. But eventually I found one. I did the drugs and got to running. No sticking to the roads this time either. I went off-roading to cut a few corners to save some time. Across Ringneck Creek, across this bridge with some deer, and down the rail tracks I went. And boy howdy, I was making good time. In just under 7 minutes, I had reached the same point where the last baby gator rotted. And at the 12-minute mark, I had crossed the railroad bridge above the Dakota River without any train incident. But alas, poor John was starting to run out of stamina. I wasn't allowed to just refuel while running, so I momentarily dropped the gator to do a few bumps of cocaine. gum. Yee-haw! And back to the races we went. Hawkseye Creek was crossed, and then the executive decision was made to cut this corner to cross the Upper Montana River. But the cocaine gum must have clouded our minds, and I had forgotten that this path was a bridge that was no longer complete. But we've come this far. There was no going back. Cocaine gum will give us wings. Fly across the gap, John. Oh, well, the fall didn't kill him and the gator was retrievable. Soon the farm at Beecher's Hope was on the horizon and the gator was still fresh. We can do this. We just have to find Abigail. Where is she? Where is she? There she is!
Are you gonna butcher that?
Success! But was it really? I mean, what kind of man just gets all coked out and drops a baby gator because he thinks he can fly? Surely no man that Miss Abigail could respect. So we need to do this again. And this time without letting the gator touch the ground and without the use of drugs. Only a succulent meal of oregano-seasoned alligator will be permitted for energy. I acquired a new baby gator and set off across hill and dale, across Ringneck Creek, past Face Rock, a double rainbow! What does it mean? And over the animal bridge. Everything was going smoothly. And since I wasn't doping this time, I ran out of steam near Flatiron Station. I slowed to a walk to restore my stamina, and once I had about half of it returned, I resumed full pace. While crossing the rail bridge, I took out a vulture that was trying to intimidate me. Loser. But soon after that, as I was heading towards the Hawkseye Creek crossing, nature sought retribution for my crimes against that bird. A deer, a good-for-nothing white-tailed deer, locked me in his sights and forced me to fumble the gator. The run may have been over, but I got the last laugh on that stupid deer. Another gator and more hills and dale. Across Ringneck Creek, past Face Rock, over the animal bridge, and over the Flatiron Bridge. This time without messing with the vulture. Then, as I set to once again cross Hawkseye Creek, I spotted another stick-headed son of a doe. But the cause of my failure this time was entirely my own. See, not wanting that deer to even think about charging me, I started to throw some lead in its direction to let it know that I meant business. And in my fury against this animal, I may have unloaded my entire cylinder on it. A major oversight, as John then decided he needed to reload the revolver, thus dropping the gator in the process and ending the run. Another gator and more hills and dale. Across Ringneck Creek, past Face Rock, over the animal bridge. Received some motivational words by this stranger.
How about you just keep on moving and mind your own business?
Ran out of stamina near Flatiron Station, but this time, while approaching the rail bridge, there was a train on it. Do I stop and wait for it? Hell no! Abigail needs her present, so I attempted to thread that needle. The needle, however, was not to be threaded. Another gator and more hills and dale. Once again over Ringneck Creek, past Face Rock, over the animal bridge, and ran out of stamina near Flatiron Station. I crossed the rail bridge without being hit by a train. I passed the teabagged body of that buck, and I crossed Hawkseye Creek. Struggled up this hill and through Fort Riggs. Crossed the Upper Montana, and there it was, Beecher's Hope. Now I just have to find Abigail. Get out of the way, dog! Where is she? Where is she? Jack, where is she? Where is Abigail? Where's Abigail? Where is she? There she is!
All right, John. Is that supper?
Finally, I gave Abigail a worthwhile baby gator. Holy sh! But enough with the baby alligators. If we want to truly impress Abigail, we need to pull off a truly impressive feat and bring her an adult gator. Since the original clip that got me into this situation involved a horse drag, I needed to try that first just for my own knowledge. And as I suspected, it was totally possible. Cool. An unimpressive feat, but I did learn that there is an area within Beecher's Hope where you no longer can equip your lasso. I also needed to gauge the challenge by trying to drag the gator by foot. The first attempt ended after 2 minutes due to a road rage incident, but it seemed obvious to me that there was no way I'd make it. I confirmed this on the second attempt when it spoiled about halfway on the journey after 27 minutes. So having established that just dragging it by foot seems impossible, here are the 2 simple rules for the Alligator for Abigail challenge, Adult Edition. 1. Get the carcass of an adult alligator into the house at Beecher's Hope before it rots. And 2, no riding my horse or the use of a lasso drag while on any horseback. Given that dragging the gator seems unfeasible, my plan was to commandeer one of the many wagons roaming around on the map and try to use it to deliver the alligator. The thing about wagons in Red Dead is that there isn't any sort of hold X to load wagon mechanic that will securely load your cargo for delivery. So even if you can get anything into a wagon, the cargo staying put is beholden to the mercy of Rockstar's physics and collision engine. This is further complicated because I can't even just pick up an alligator to easily drop it into a wagon. The first wagon I rented was a small one-horse cart that I found near the animal bridge. I drove it to the swamp southwest of Saint-Denis and parked it along an elevated railroad bridge for loading. I claimed a nearby alligator and spooked the horse out of position. But it was still next to the railroad, so maybe it could work. No, it didn't work. I dragged the gator to a higher point and repositioned the cart before managing to kick the gator into the cart on the first attempt. This was looking to be easier than I expected. Damn it. I repositioned the cart and went for a fresh gator for a fresh rotting timer. But by the time I got the next gator back to the bridge, the no-good horse had cast the horse magic spell of Uno Reverso and was facing in the opposite direction, away from where I left it next to the rails. After getting it back into position, I failed the first loading attempt, and then the shitheel horse just went, LOL, bye. So, trying a new angle, I managed to once again load the gator. Time to drive. Every bump and sharp turn was terrifying as I'd see the gator bounce around in the cart. But soon I made it to roads and was forced into carting at a slower pace. A mild worry that it would be eating into my timer too much. I got out of roads and continued on, across the animal bridge and on the Flatiron station where I got lucky and just missed a crossing train. I had no issues crossing the bridge in this spry little cart. Everything was going great, and I assumed I'd soon be wheeling into Beecher's Hope on the first attempt. I crossed Hawkseye Creek and I wish I had a face cam going at this point. As I started to climb this hill, I gasped so loud when the alligator just slid out of my wagon. Now, this challenge doesn't have the can't touch the ground rule, so it wasn't over. I made a quick decision and parked next to this boulder, hoping I'd be able to just use it to quickly get the gator back into the cart. But it wasn't high enough, and this jerk hoof horse decided to rebel on me. I relocated the cart to a higher cliff and tried again. But this skittish mother hoofer once again took off into the night. I put the gator in a position and went for the wagon. I started to get a little spun around while trying to get back to the wagon, but what happened next, I can only attribute to the blackest of horse magics. Beecher's Hope wasn't that far away, and there was no chance I was stealing another wagon and loading the gator into it, so I lassoed the gator and got to work dragging it the rest of the way. Past Fort Riggs and across the Upper Montana River. But there, with Beecher's Hope in sight, tragedy struck and the gator rotted. But not bad for a first attempt, huh? The wagon strategy is definitely feasible, and finishing the challenge with it should be easy. I found a new open back wagon near Rhodes and drove it to this area northwest of Saint-Denis. It has a few railroad crossings above the ground closer to the roads, so I figured it would be easier for the loading and drive away. I parked the wagon and then unloaded on a gator and spooked the stupid horse. I repositioned the wagon and started dragging the gator over to it when that no good horse just ran away again. I took a new gator to restart the rot timer and put it in position. But the damn thing somehow fell off by the time I got back with the wagon. Ugh. After a little lasso power, I got the gator into the wagon. It was in kind of shittily, so I tried to adjust it and, well, Gator 3 I got loaded on the first attempt. Yes, time to drive. The ride was looking good, the gator was staying in place, and there wasn't a train crossing the rail bridge, so I used it as a shortcut. Surely this would be a nice ride all the way to Beecher's Hope, so I might as well switch to Cinematic Road and get some nice footage. Well, I was doing good on time, so I figured I might still be able to get the gator back into the wagon somehow. But I'm stupid sometimes. Jesus. I rented a new wagon near the animal bridge and got back to work. The horse always running away when I killed the gator was annoying me. I figured, hell, it must be because I'm just playing dumbly and using 6 revolver rounds to kill them. Maybe a single efficient rifle shot won't be enough to scare it. Yes! No, damn it. But it didn't matter, because the field of alligator corpses I had left on the map made me overlook an additional gator that wasn't dead yet. And now John was dead. So the horse scares were starting to irk me and I needed a solution. But as I said, I can be kind of stupid, which is why I totally had forgotten about poison throwing knives up to this point. Surely if they can stop a charging grizzly bear, they can kill an alligator without scaring horses. I rented another cart and tested the knives. Perfect. Gator loaded, let's drive! Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. So, remember when I said I was stupid? That hasn't changed, because up to this point, I had also completely forgotten that I could stand in one spot and just reel in a lassoed thing. Could this knowledge have helped in the past? Don't know, don't care. But armed with this knowledge, I decided to get a little bit extra with how I was loading the alligators into the wagons. And for this operation, I was going to need a bigger cart. I scouted all around for a while trying to find a large 2-horse cart with deep sides, and finally tracked one down in Valentine.
There we go.
So here's the plan. I'm going to park it under this really tall railroad bridge and... What kind of cryptid is that over there? Hang on.
Jesus Christ.
Oh shit! Night folk! So, after riding a wagon all the way from Valentine, it seems that the night folk spawning on me happened to delete it. Once again, I didn't find a sizable enough cart until I hit Valentine. I rode it back to the bridge to enact the plan. Step 1. Park a large open-top wagon under this high rail bridge right below this gap in the 2 beams. Step 2. Quietly snuff out a gator as not to spook the horses. Step 3. Drag gator near the cart. Damn it. Step 3A. Reposition the wagon. Step 4. Go for a run way down here and climb onto the rail bridge. Step 4A. Wait for the train to pass. Damn it. Step 5. Lasso the gator. Step 6. Reel in the gator to get it off the ground. Step 7. Position the gator above the wagon, using the gap as a reference point if the camera angle isn't good enough. And step 8. Airdrop the gator into the wagon. And just like that, we have an adult gator in a large wagon. Time to drive! Damn it.
Shit! Easy now.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't like these wagons with the rear tailgate. So at this point, I gave up my aerial loading shenanigans and figured I should just return to the initial little wagon that I almost finished this challenge with. But I did give a few oddball wagons without a rear tailgate a chance first. This open side wagon? No. The alligator slid out and then it was sent to the afterlife by more horse magic. Mayhaps an alligator could ride shotgun in this fancy man's carriage. No. I set out to find another one of those small carts like I originally used, when this wagon in Saint Denis caught my eye. This wagon, what's it called? The Wagon 6! Yes, that's what I thought. This wagon has a nice tall rear end to keep the alligator from sliding out the back, plus this open cage to perhaps hold it in from falling out of the sides. Although I wasn't sure if I'd be able to kick a gator into it. Perhaps my wagon loading research won't be in vain. I got the wagon to the bridge and loaded it up on the first try. Time to drive! I made it deep into the heartlands before the alligator finally fell out. But as a wise man once said,
have some goddamn faith!
And damn it, I had some goddamn faith, and I wasn't ready to give up on Wagon 6 after one failed attempt. Back to the bridge. The loading sequence took a little longer than expected this time as another train came by, but this time it didn't hit me. I dropped the alligator tail up into the wagon and got to driving. Past roads. Over the animal bridge where I roadkilled a turkey. Oops. But I kept on. So long as the alligator's tail was up against that wagon's cage, I was certain it would not fall out. I approached Flatiron Station and with full confidence was sure I could take the shortcut across the rail bridge. Success! Through the woods and across Hawkseye Creek. This time there was no way it would fall out while going up this slope. Well, I learned from my previous run and knew I was close enough to Beecher's Hope that I didn't need to fuck around with trying to load the alligator into another cart. Time to drag! I dragged the alligator past Fort Riggs. I dragged the alligator across the Upper Montana River. And I dragged the alligator through the ranch gates at Beecher's Hope. I was almost there. So close! But then I couldn't drag the gator anymore. Was this it? Did it rot? Hell no! I just entered the no lasso zone, which I now learn is also the no drag zone. But the goal is right there. So close! Time to get kicking! I got the snout of the alligator across the threshold. Is this like American football where it just needs to break the plane of the goal? Hell no! This doesn't end until the door is shut behind the alligator. Kick it, John! Kick it! Kick it! Kick it! Kick it with all you got! Huzzah! The alligator for Abigail's challenge has been completed. A pitiful world record time has been now established at 22 minutes and 1 second. Time for family dinner.
I eat too much of this, I might get fat.
Hard at work, I see.
Abigail, don't give it table scraps. It's not a pet. Well, that was fun. You should like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I like to make videos doing pointless stuff like this in many different video games. But I guess before I end this video, there's one last thing I need to do. Rip the skin off the beast in front of my family while they have supper.